Hi, my name is Ben and I'm a physical therapist here at Total Physical Therapy in Amarillo, and today we are going to go over week number 2 on my journey back into running. If y'all haven't seen the first 2 episodes of my journey, please go check them out. But just to give you a quick recap, my hip about 2 weeks ago had some debilitating hip pain for a few days and wasn't able to walk and do a couple different things, and so since that time, I've been slowly working my way back to see if I can get back to run. And this is a journey that's documenting that recovery process. Along with that recovery process, I wanted to make some videos just detailing and outlining the process in which I do that, so that way people that are also recovering from injuries have an idea, at least some idea, of how this process goes. Or if somebody is brand new to running and they want to be able to run themselves or start a walking program, that they can do that by following some generic schedules listed down below. Just remember that these schedules are generic, are not specifically generated for any one person, and so through these videos I'm going to take these schedules and you're going to see how I'm modifying and changing them based on how my hip is doing. So for week number 2, did not quite go as well as I wanted it to from a number standpoint, but as far as how the hip is feeling, it's actually doing really well. And so as you can see, the first day of the week I started off with a rest day. The previous week I had walked pretty much every day, and so just wanted my hip to have a little bit of a rest day. I was feeling fine, just need to rest every once in a while. The next day on Tuesday, wasn't able to walk as much as I'd like just for time reasons. I had a workout planned and needed to get that workout done before work, and so I had to cut that walk a little bit short. But Wednesday comes around and I'm back up to my normal 40 minutes. Now the previous week my high was 44 minutes. The reason I didn't get up to 44 minutes was because I had a rest day and then a kind of a lower volume day, and I didn't want to jump up real quick up to something that maybe I wasn't ready for, so I just stuck with 40 minutes, and I'm kind of glad I did. And the reason is because that morning in one of my workouts, I was working on the range of motion of my hip and just taking my knee up towards my chest, and just the process of doing that, I definitely felt something move not quite right the way I wanted it to, and it left me a little bit sore. And then on Wednesday that morning, I walked for 40 minutes, and by the time I was done with that walk, my hip was catching quite a bit. And so not quite as bad as it had 2 weeks ago, but it was definitely catching on me. And so I was glad I didn't push the volume that day, even though while I was walking it felt fine. Afterwards, for the next probably 2 hours or so, it was catching on pretty good. So the rest of that day I rested, and then by the next day I had recovered and was doing much better. So according to that schedule, if I'm having some pain with the walking, then it's appropriate not to progress the schedule. It's one of those things that you just want to make sure that you're paying attention to your symptoms, you're giving it the break that it needs. So the very next day, I walked for 30 minutes, and I walked at a pretty slow pace, just around my backyard. If any of you follow me on Strava, you probably saw this big square in my backyard. So I was out there with my daughter, and we were having fun, just taking laps in the backyard. And the hip was feeling pretty good. So both Thursday and Friday, I decided just to take it nice and easy, 30 minutes each day. And so that's why those days are not quite as high. And then on Saturday, I had to take another rest day because we spent all day setting up a playhouse for my daughter. So, which I was glad that my hip was feeling much better, because we were having to lift this massive structure with 4 people and lifting and moving, and I'm glad my hip was doing much better by that point. And so that's pretty much the week in recap. Today I plan on walking anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on how the hip is doing. The hip's a little bit sore this morning. I did some yoga yesterday with my wife, and again, the hip just kind of gets in weird positions at those end ranges, and so I just need to make sure I'm being wary of those positions. As far as my workouts are going, I'm pretty much sticking with a similar plan, working through my hip in a couple different ranges of motions, but one thing I am adding this week is a little bit of resistance. And the resistance is feeling pretty good to work my hip in a couple different directions with the resistance. And this is where it's important to talk about recovery and workouts. I feel like a lot of us can kind of get trapped, especially as runners or walkers, into thinking that a specific set of exercises are going to be adequate for me all the time. And those exercises that I started off with last week were definitely appropriate for last week. But if I stay and hang out doing those exercises week in and week out, my hip will get better, but it probably won't get better as quickly as I want it to, or as effectively as I want it to. And the reason is because, my hip, like we do in running training, you're going to receive benefits up to a point, and then once your body starts adapting to those changes, your body then doesn't receive as many benefits as it did before whenever you first started those same exercises. And so, for example, if you were to go out the door and run at 10 minutes a mile pace, and you just did that every day for the rest of your life, you would be fit, but would you progress as a runner? What things would you have to do to change those workouts in order for you to progress? And that's exactly what we do with our strengthening exercises too. Whenever I get to a certain point with my strength exercises, what do I need to do to be able to change the stimulus on my body to allow my body to be able to adapt to that stimulus, be able to help me progress further in the recovery process? And so that's what the point of adding the band is. It's also the point of doing different activities and different things that places a different stress on my body. And so if you guys thought that, go looking through all these exercises that, man, he's doing a lot of different exercises, and the point is, yes, I want my body to be able to adapt to all these different positions, allow my hip to be able to experience what it feels like to be able to have stress in these different positions, whether it's weight bearing with my foot on the ground or non-weight bearing whenever I'm moving my foot relative to my body. I want my hip to be able to experience all those different things and be able to adapt and change with it as well. And today I just want to give you guys a tip that I think is beneficial, and I definitely utilize it as often as I can, is get out and go to a place that is visually, aesthetically pleasing. And so today we're out here at the canyon trails at Buffalo Hill, and I'm just enjoying the walk out here on the trails a little bit. Now, the last couple weeks, Paladero Canyon has been closed, but I definitely take the time to go out there and enjoy hiking or running in the canyon as often as I can get out there. One, it helps motivate me to get out the door, and I know that motivation is a huge component whenever we're starting, especially for the new runner. A lot of new runners do have some motivation, but I definitely find that it takes about 21 days to be able to build up a habit. And sometimes whenever you're still in that second week, you did really well the first week, you're starting something new, you're wanting to be able to help yourself from a health standpoint, and you're wanting to get into a groove. And then that second week is just hard because you've already done it for a week, and especially if you're trying to lose weight, you probably haven't seen a dramatic weight decrease, and you're understanding that this is going to be a lifestyle change, not just some short thing that you can kind of do and then get rid of. And so a lot of people start falling off at weeks number 2 and 3, and just doing something simple like coming out and enjoying a visually, aesthetically pleasing view while you're on your walks gives you something as a motivation just to get out the door and get moving. And so hopefully you guys incorporate that into your routine. Well, that's going to do it for week number 2 recap. If you guys have any comments or questions, put them down in the description below, and we will see you guys on the next one.